What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stokastic here on the Odd Chopper channel, coming to you with my three favorite prize picks for Thursday night football. We've got the Bills, we've got the Rams. Hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell to celebrate that football is back, baby. It feels great, and we're going to be doing it over here at Prize Picks with my three favorite props. Lots of good ones on the board for tonight. I'm going to be circulating through a lot of them, but these are my three featured ones. I think they really stand out, but most importantly for you guys right now, first match deposit bonus over at Prize Picks. You use promo code Osmo. I believe it's still promo code Osmo. Yes, it is. You use that, you get $100 first match deposit bonus. So you put in 20, you get 20. Put in 50, get 50, or all the way up to that $100. I'd recommend that because we are going to print come NFL season, which is now here. I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are excited too. But most importantly, this is Thursday Night Football, and I'm just excited to be talking football again. So if you guys are looking forward to it as well, make sure you are subscribed here to the Odd Chopper channel, because that'll go a long way for you throughout the season. We have Lofty with his featured videos. We have a number of different analysts, myself, Josh Engelman, Greg Ehrenberg, so much great content. You want to be a part of it here at the Odd Chopper channel. And if you want my full Prize Picks card, get EL Insider. You simply go to stokastic.com/Lindy. You sign up for that Discord package. I will be in there talking NFL and MLB as well all day long. But here we go, friends. We are officially here. It is football season, and we're going to start with some rushing yards here. And Devin Singletary is sitting at 45.5, and that is way too low for my taste. Let's just look at him. Towards the tail end of last season, Singletary, he was the sole running back for the Bills. And aside from that divisional Super Bowl, I mean, I'm going to call it the Super Bowl, them and the Chiefs, it was very pass-centric in that game. But that was just like a come from behind mode, which is why Singletary didn't get there. But he was still fantastic throughout the entire end of the season. In fact, weeks 17 and 18, the end of the regular season, 42 total carries for 198 rushing yards. He blasted through this number. He finished out the regular season on a high note, and that's always a good thing to see. Obviously, the Bills did go out and get James Cook in the draft, but it's assumed he'll be more of a passing down type role for him to start. And Zach Moss may see some goal line work here and there, the bigger bruiser back out of Utah, but they've shown that they don't exactly love him. And so he has little to do with Singletary getting a majority of the touches.
And we are live. Welcome to MLB Live Before Lock / The Deeper Dive. It's just everything mixed together. I am Josh Engelman. I am joined by Adam Scherer. We are brought to you by Odd Chopper, and we're going to talk a little bit about Odd Chopper later on. But first, what I need you guys to do, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Adam, how do you feel since we are sort of the appetizer for the NFL today?
I mean, I think the shows should be flipped because obviously baseball is more important.
Yes, baseball is more important. Someone should have told DraftKings that.
Yeah, would have been nice to have bigger than 10K to first or whatever it is.
Yeah, this is some of the worst contests I've seen on a day like today. Like this, it was relay throw and nothing else. But that's fine. That's fine. We're still going to attack this slate. I'm going to go after this, and you and I are going to do the same thing, which is prep for Showdown. I knew you would eventually do it. You shouldn't have dragged your heels. You could have been ahead of the game by now.
Yeah, I registered the Thursday to Monday slate just to make my life miserable too.
Oh, you could have that one. So that sounds so awful. I wouldn't want to manage that at all.
Not going to be a lot of fun, probably.
Either way, we are here. How is your early slate going? As we expected, go Nats.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm cashing a single lineup.
11 runs for the Nats at this particular moment. The other totals are 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. So
I'm cashing 3 of my 150 lineups at the moment.
The Nats have more runs than all 5 other teams combined right now.
Also, 22% owned. Catcher who cannot hitting 2 home runs isn't useful either.
No.
Referring to Yadier Molina.
I'm assuming you don't have a lot?
No.
Okay. Well, wait, what record did they tie?
What?
Most starts for interesting. Molina and Wainwright tied the AL and NL record, or AL, NL, like the major league record for starts made by a battery.
That's interesting.
Any guess as to how many times they have started games together?
I'm trying to kind
I
of.
got you. I hear you.
410.
324.
Okay.
I think that's a solid guess.
Yeah, I was just I feel like they started playing in I don't know, 2004 or something, and I don't know.
That's
Wainwright
wild.
was hurt a little bit. Molina was hurt a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Not something that I would have ever thought about, but that's a cool. I wonder if they get along.
You would think, probably.
I don't know. I've been in work environments for multiple years where I don't really like the people that I work with.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I was trying to imply that it's you.
Just I understood, but nobody's offering you a bunch of money to go wherever you want either.
Yeah, that's true.
Me, they obviously are, but I'm not the one with the problem.
I'm a draw, man. You got to know this. Have you been in our promo codes channel anytime recently? Cleaning up.
Last I heard, I was doing great.
To be fair, whatever made up promo code that you have on your videos is doing well. I did have a conversation today about maybe getting rid of my sponsored content and going to my own promo code. So I'm going to run you down with that one too. That's the plan, at least. You ready to do this?
Not really, but we can start.
Well, that's fine. If you're not ready, we could take our sweet time so that I could at least get the top stacks tool up and loaded for what is unfortunately called the late or the night slate for DraftKings.
Keeps throwing me off. Earlier, you had to click the main slate instead of the early slate.
Yeah, it's been difficult for me to remember what I need to click on. And considering we have all of the time in the world, well, maybe you don't, but I have all of the time in the world to drag my heels for this. And also, it's just I'm having a lot of trouble figuring out where I need to go. Is that Knight? Is that Dylan Cease? It is. That'll work. Looks like I've got what I need. So, game number 1 of 3. And honestly, we got 118 people in here, up to 120, 27 likes. Hit that thumbs up. You are going to be a small crowd tonight. So let's be one big happy family. And now let's talk Yankees and Twins. 3.6 run implied total for the Yankees, 3.2 for the Twins. Nestor Cortez and your boy Sonny Gray going in this one. Cortez 33% owned, Gray 20% owned at 6,800. My question to you is this: who do you prefer between the two?
At their current salaries, I think I prefer Sonny Gray. He's 6,800. They're both good pitchers, but Sonny Gray 23.7% strikeout percentage, Cortez 25.9%, similar 3.7 xFIP for Cortez, 3.78 for Gray. I don't really think Gray should be $2,000 less expensive.
Yeah, it's a little odd to me. I was surprised to see the pricing. I mean, I guess that's part of the issue of when you just face the Yankees, but at the same time, just seemed a little aggressive for me. When I ran my crunch, I did not get to a lot of Gray, though. I found it a little bit easier to pay up. I'm not surprised by that. That's generally how this works. I basically just have the 3 most expensive pitchers at this point. We'll talk about that a little bit further. Sonny Gray, 29% chance of being a top 2 scoring pitcher. Cortez, 39%. So seems like Cortez is more in line with the ownership, and that looks proper. But Sonny Gray is just maybe a little bit under-owned.
Yeah, and we only have Gray projected about so I just updated now. It's 2.6 points behind Cortez. So I guess salary-wise, that does end up kind of working out. We have Gray going a little bit under-owned, 28% top 2 percentage, 20% ownership. Cortez, 39% top 2 percentage, 38% ownership. Obviously, they both look fine. The Yankees lineup is still just not good. So that benefits Gray as well. The Twins lineup isn't great either. They're missing guys. So it's 2 offenses that typically I don't like taking pitchers against, but they're both running out pretty poor lineups.
I have a much bigger gap above your boy, Sonny Gray. So I think that's probably part of the reason I'm not getting to as much Gray.
You're saying between Gray and Cortez?
Yeah. a staggering amount. Double what we have. So I am leaning a little bit more towards Cortez. I got to 42%. We'll dig into some other pitchers that are popping up quite a bit for me a little bit later, but let's talk bats here. We've got the Yankees, third in our top stack tool, second in ownership at 18%. This is probably part of the reason why I'm getting a little bit less Sonny Gray. I'm getting to more of the Yankees than the public is currently getting to. I'm up to 26% Yankees, 30% in my main stacks. How do you feel about New York here against your boy?
Not great, because not only do I think Sonny Gray is good, but I don't think the Yankees are very good. Aaron Judge is extremely good. Gleyber Torres is fine. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is their number 4 hitter, and I don't really think that's a mistake. Like, that's how bad this lineup is.
Yeah. 108 aggregate WRC plus for the Yankees. That's probably the lowest mark I've seen for them this year for any sort of lineup that they've put together. Not good. Still slightly better than the Twins, at least based on what I've got here. But even still, this is a lot closer than it seems.
And that's just because of Aaron Judge, right?
In terms of like it getting to 108.
Yeah.
If I replace Aaron Judge with a league average hitter, it drops to league average 100. Okay. So by replacing Judge with a hitter with a WRC plus of 100, it would reduce the Yankees lineup from 108 to 100.
Yeah, like I just pulled up
the
Yankees roster.
It's a lot of Judge.
Yeah, I just pulled up the Yankees roster out of curiosity. And since the start of 2020, Aaron Judge, 172 WRC plus. Next highest in this lineup is Gleyber Torres at 99.
Whew.
Hicks is at 96.
Oh my God.
Kiner-Falefa is at 88. That's your cleanup hitter. Florial, only 59 plate appearances, so it doesn't really matter, but 82. Marwin Gonzalez, 81. Andujar, 69. Higashioka, 70. I don't remember who else is in the lineup.
Peraza.
Oh, yeah, Peraza's new. He's the only one I didn't mention.
Yeah. Whew. Brutal.
Like, this lineup is awful.
And yet, they're basically properly owned against Sonny Gray. Do you see it differently? Do you expect to be under here?
No, I mean, I think it's a 3-game slate, and you're also talking about 2 of those teams being Miami and Oakland. So it's not like there's a lot of alternatives. Minnesota, it has a pretty watered down lineup as well, and they have a tough matchup. Philadelphia's facing Alcantara. Like, I understand why you would get to the Yankees. It's just unbelievable how bad this lineup is.
So let's then talk about the Minnesota Twins. 5th in top stack, 2nd in value, 5th in ownership. This is probably my biggest stand. I am well over the field here on the Twins. You get on the opposite side of the Cortez ownership. And honestly, like, I don't see the lineup all that differently than the Yankees. And they are easier to get to from a salary perspective. I like the park as well. So while I don't love the idea of, going up against Cortez, it's happening. I like the Twins today.
Yeah, pretty cheap pricing too. Kyle Garlick, $2,300 leading off. Correa is expensive, as he should be. Jose Miranda should be more than $3,300. That's a really cheap price tag. Urshela and Sanchez, both sub 3K. Then you get a bunch of dudes who I don't know who they are, outside of Nick Gordon, who is in the lefty-lefty matchup, so not as appealing as he normally is. But the top of this lineup does have plenty of power, and they're pretty cheap.
Yeah, Garlick in the leadoff spot. I don't know if we'll see something change on a rerun of ownership, but 8% owned at 2,300 is just a guy that should be in way more lineups on a 3-game slate than that. So I don't know if that's just a lineup like he was projected 8th or something like that before, and now it's 1st, because
247 plate appearances for him since 2020, 115 WRC plus, 233 ISO. Cortez has only allowed a 126 expected ISO to righties this year, so it's not like you're looking at anybody on Minnesota and saying you like the matchup. But Garlick certainly shouldn't be this inexpensive leading off. Correa over that time, 129 WRC plus. Miranda, 124 WRC plus. Urshela's at 106. So I mean, realistically, I think this lineup's better than the Yankees.
I don't have a hard like. I have the Yankees ISO at 168. I've got the Twins at 167. I don't have any problem saying that they are the same thing today at all. Like,
the reason I think it's better is just because like all of that Yankee stuff is just Aaron Judge. Like, the Twins don't have an Aaron Judge equivalent that is pulling everybody else up. It's a deeper lineup in terms of guys that can do damage. Obviously, they don't have one guy that is likely to just go hit a home run and a double and walk twice.
Yeah. Anybody else stand out for you in that Twins lineup? Obviously, Carlos Correa at 5,200 stands out as like the only potential pay-up option. Are you seeing anything else? I ran my on no randomness crunch just to see what I was getting from this one. Judge is the highest owned guy that I got of anybody from the Yankees. Kyle Garlick in the leadoff spot, the guy that I got the most of anybody from the Twins. Hicks and Torres both got up, above 30% for me, but not a lot coming from this game.
Yeah, I mean, I like 1 through 5. I think you can make pretty strong cases for any of them. Garlick and Miranda would be my two favorites.
Okay. Yeah, Miranda also, very light in the ownership department, 10% on our last run, $3,300 first baseman, again, on a 3-gamer. That stands out to me and looks pretty good. And I got Cortez in 80% of that crunch. Have you run that sort of crunch yet?
No.
Okay. Only 3 potential pitching options for me. Cease in 85%. Cortez in 80, and then my boy Alcantara got into 35%. So sort of a do you have the salary type decision point.
Yeah, I'm running that now using the Stokastic projections.
Okay. Anything else that we should touch on here between the Yankees and the Twins?
I don't think so.
All righty. Well, then let's talk schedule for the rest of the day. This one's pretty easy, but it's new for the first time in a while. Coming up at 6 p.m., NFL Deeper Dive, and the boss man is back on that one, so make sure you guys are tuning in. They're going to go for about an hour, and then NFL Live Before Lock will take you all the way up to kickoff. So be ready for that. 2 more hours coming up after this for the first game of the NFL season. Free content for today. If you're playing this MLB slate, I don't know why you're torturing yourself, but MLB projections are free. And our NFL lineup generator, it's a new tool that we have at Stokastic. That is going to be free for week 1. And I really want you guys to go check it out because it's a different experience for looking at lineups than you've ever seen in the industry. And I think you guys are going to like it. So head on over to Stokastic to check that out. Maybe you'll see a link in chat pop up or in the description of this video. And then finally, I got to hit you with the promo code. And I also need to switch tabs and go to the actual read because technically speaking, I think this is you know what? It doesn't matter what code I give. Tyler, I'm going to look at you quickly. Let me change my screen here. Do you have a promo code ready to go up on the screen? Deeper Dive or Live Before Lock? Live? Okay, got it. Perfect. Thank you. I left DD in there. MLB Live is the promo code. It is up on the screen. That is MLBLIVE, one big word, all caps, 50% off your first week of Stokastic Plus. Get you access to everything, and everything is going on right now. Football is back. Baseball is here. There was a golf tournament going on until the Queen died. There is auto racing. College football is back. MMA, big pay-per-view this weekend. Soccer, tennis, you name it, we've got it, and you can get everything behind the paywall for 50% off using the promo code MLB Live. 1 week of Stokastic Plus Platinum, 50% off. There it is. Pour one out for the Queen, Adam.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
You seem broken up about it.
Yeah, really, really upsetting.
I'd rather watch Game of Thrones. Phillies and Marlins.
I've never done that either.
Oh, right, missing out. Good show.
I've seen like half of the first episode.
Oh, you should have watched the end of the first episode. It gets a lot better when the brother nails the sister.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
That's legitimately how it ends.
Well, thanks for ruining it for me, man.
Spoiler alert to everybody, but a brother and sister get caught bumping Uggs in a tower, and then the brother tosses a little boy out the window because he sees them, and he becomes unable to walk. So there's that. Kyle Gibson going for the Phillies today, 3.8 run implied total. Sandy Alcantara going for the Marlins, 3.3 run implied total here. 43% ownership going to Kyle Gibson. He is 5,700. 35% ownership going to Alcantara. He is 9,900. I'm going to start with Gibson here. Based on our top pitchers tool, very much appropriately owned. That price tag is helping out a lot, but even without the price tag, 34% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. I am barely getting to Kyle Gibson right now because I just don't think that's a spot where I needed salary. How do you see Gibson at 43% ownership?
I mean, he's completely mispriced. 5,700 is insane. And he's got a good matchup against Miami, even if they are getting a positive park shift going into Philly. He's also not that good. 19.6% strikeout percentage, 4.07 xFIP. I think Cortez is a better pitcher. I think Gray is a better pitcher. Cease is 1,000,000% a better pitcher. Alcantara is certainly a better pitcher. JP Sears is probably the most comparable pitcher on the slate to Gibson. So to your point, you probably just don't need the savings all that much. And he is getting 43% ownership. I am much more comfortable with the ownership coming to Cease, Cortez, and Alcantara. God, you messed me up on that now.
I haven't messed you up on anything. You messed me up repeatedly by being wrong.
Than I do on Gibson's 43%.
Okay. Yeah, like I just don't know what to. I have him at 15.2 fantasy points. I understand that he is not priced correctly. I have Sandy and Cease and Cortez all so far ahead of him.
We do have Gibson at 16.6. So still fourth behind those guys, but not by a wide margin. We actually have him ahead of Sonny Gray as well.
Okay. Yeah, so I basically don't have him, and I am over on Sandy. What do you want to do with Alcantara?
I think the ownership coming into him is fine. It's not a great matchup against the Phillies, but he does typically go deep into games. Negative park shift for him as well. $9,900 price tag is relatively expensive when you factor in that he's more expensive than Dylan Cease. It looks worse, but I still just think hitter pricing is cheap enough that you're not really going to have issues getting to him. I mean, we already talked about how cheap Minnesota is outside of Correa. The Yankees are really cheap outside of Judge because they suck. The Marlins are always cheap. Like, there's just no hitting to really pay for on this slate.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get to that in a bit too. Let's, I guess, talk a little bit about bats here. Which team are you more likely to get to, considering Gibson and Sandy are, basically similarly owned?
Probably Miami, because I just think that Gibson is a lot worse than Alcantara, and they are also getting less ownership. 13% coming to Miami with a 16% chance of being the top stack. 17% coming to Philly with a 17% chance of being the top stack. Not that Philly is really going over-owned, but they are more or less the same as Miami, but getting more ownership.
Yeah, for me right now, just because of the fact that I'm not getting to Gibson, it allows me to get to Miami. So I have about 20% of the Marlins at just 13% ownership. That is fourth on the slate. They're also fourth in top stack. Phillies are second and third. I'm a little bit lighter on the Phillies, which makes sense because I'm over on Sandy. When I look at just the data for this game, it all makes sense for me and I'm okay with it. I have more Sandy than the field than I would like to. I have less Gibson than the field than I would like to. And those two things have allowed me to get to the opposite teams. And I'm happy about that. I think it's working as intended. I just don't really like playing the Marlins.
Yeah, but I've actually been doing it a decent amount lately. Not that it's worked out really well, but I assume I'll be getting there also. Not baseball related, but NFL Showdown related for people using Fantasy Cruncher. Did you see the tweet a couple minutes ago about their new edition?
No.
So now you can set a maximum exposure cap on like captain plus flex for a player. So like you can say you don't want more than 70% total Josh Allen across all of it.
I didn't even know that you couldn't do that.
I'll say it's not something that I will use, but
yeah,
it seems like it could be useful.
Interesting. Yeah, not going to be anything that changes for me just because that's not how I generate lineups. Right. It's like that all gets handled on the back end.
Because instead of saying, like, oh, well, I only want 40% at flex and 30% at captain, you can let the projections figure out where he should be allocated and just not play more than 70%.
Yeah, that's good. Good addition. Thank you, Fantasy Cruncher, for that one. That will be helpful. The only thing that I'll need to check is if it adds any sort of additional columns when I copy shit out of my sheet.
Right.
But other than that, I'm going to be all right there. From a cash perspective, what are you seeing here from the Phillies and the Marlins? It's really weird. For the first time in a while, I think, and I don't know if it's just like because it's a function of a 3-game slate, my list after I ran that crunch is very mixed up of like random hitters and random guys. But I am not really, other than John Birdie, I'm not really seeing much from this game.
So I had already mentioned that we have a pretty high projection on Kyle Gibson. He's in 74% of the lineups I crunched. I also allowed it to play up to 3 hitters against the pitcher. So he's in 74%. John Birdie's in 74%. Joey Wendell's in 52%. After that, the next highest owned Miami guy is in 6%. Bryce Harper on the other side is in about 70%. Schwarber's in 10. Other than that, nobody above 10.
Sounds like Birdie, Harper are really like the only two for sure priorities.
Yeah, and probably Wendell, at least using our projections.
I got to 25%.
Third base shortstop.
Yeah, that helps. But you and I seem to have the same on Birdie, so he's probably like a inner circle choice.
Yeah.
And that's a direct correlation to Gibson as well. Anything else here in this one? Phillies and Marlins.
Nope.
Time to talk a little bit about OddsShopper, presenting sponsor of this show. And if you head to OddsShopper right now and give it a little peek-see, if you haven't done that recently, new redesign is up on the homepage. Honestly, looks great. Real slick site. Plenty of data right on the front. Now, you can do a couple different things here. If you are into sports betting, if you just want to make sure that you're getting the best line, you want to go on there and bet some teams for this Sunday or something along those lines. Every line is going to be right there for you at your fingertips, one click away, so you don't miss the best line. If you're not betting the best line that's available to you, the only person you're hurting is yourself, and I don't know why you would want to do that. So just go ahead and take advantage of the best lines that are going to be out there. What I really think you guys should be paying attention to is what I think is the best feature on OddsShopper, and that's going to be our player props. I'm not sure that anybody else is doing what we're doing with the player props, because you are able to get our projection, our expected ROI, our expected win rate, all for free. It's just out there. Like, for example, when I pull up the player props for today, Aaron Judge to hit a home run is the highest expected ROI prop on OddsShopper. I think that's a prop that most people would actually want to take advantage of too. And it is just sitting out there right now, plus 340 on FanDuel, the best bet that you can find. You could also take that for Andrew Vaughn and Gary Sanchez, also 5+% expected ROI or higher. These look good, guys. And again, this will cost you absolutely nothing. OddsShopper is free. So go to oddshopper.com to check it out even more. If you're not in a legal state, I still think it's a pretty good utility for you. If you want to try to get an idea of maybe coin flip decisions for one-offs or 1v1s in your lineup, I think OddsShopper will help you out there as well. Oakland A's, Chicago White Sox, 3-run implied total for the A's, 4.2 for the White Sox. JP Sears and Dylan Cease. Sears fits the bottom of the projections role like the guys on the early slate did, where he's 16% top pitcher, 35% top value, unowned. Dylan Cease, on the other hand, is a lot more like this morning. 67% owned at 9,600, completely warranted. And I think that Dylan Cease is the was it Corbin Burns or Brandon? Corbin Burns of this morning, where he's basically in everything.
Yeah, that's how I see it as well. I think you can kind of nitpick between Cortez, Alcantara, like Sonny Gray, Gibson, all those guys. I think Cease is the clear number one. I would expect to get to a lot of him. I don't mind that ownership. Good park to pitch in, good matchup, best pitcher on the slate. 31.4% strikeout percentage is about 5.5 points higher than the next closest guy, which is Cortez. 3.36 xFIP, 302 FIP, 0.8 home runs per 9. The only issue you run into with Cease is he does walk 10% of hitters, but not a big deal. That is not how you pronounce it either, James Young.
Yeah, no, that's even worse than Adams. Yeah, you just play Cease. Let's talk about Sears. Is it too hard to play Sears because of Kyle Gibson, or does Sears become more interesting because of Kyle Gibson?
I think he becomes more interesting because of Kyle Gibson, but our projections disagree. Like a 5.5% or 5.5 point difference in projection is a lot. So
Yeah.
if you're taking that, like still, obviously you would take, a 42-1 bet and you would take Sears, but that's not really how this works. And if you're going to get 5.5 points different, then I think you just go to Gibson. I'm not quite as sold on Kyle Gibson, but I mean, it is a good matchup for him. So I guess I get it.
I've got Gibson at 15.2, Sears at 12.3. That narrows the gap a little bit. Now, I'm not really getting to Gibson. I'm not really getting to Sears either. I just don't think I need to be at the bottom. But I do like the idea of getting a little bit of Sears here if you want to try to offload some of that Gibson ownership and you don't want to do it with like just going all the way up to Sandy. So there is that. I mean, look, 16% chance of being a top 2 scoring pitcher. He's 1% owned. Take that for however you will, everybody. Let's talk bats then. I think the easiest team to not talk about would be the Oakland A's. They are 6th in top stack, 6th in ownership, and up against the best pitching option. What's the case for Oakland today?
Dylan Cease is going to be really popular. Outside of that, I don't really think that there is one. He's the best pitcher on the slate. He's allowing a 104 expected ISO to lefties, 117 to righties. It's cooled down a little bit in Oakland as well. Still low 80s, so not what you're normally getting, but not quite as hot as it has been in recent days. It's basically just the Giants from last slate, and I did end up playing a good amount of the Giants last slate just because they weren't getting any ownership. And again, I think you can play, a couple of A's. You can still play Cease and just hope that it runs out where, Seth Brown and Sean Murphy hit home runs and Cease still has a good game.
I didn't get to much Oakland, but I did get to the field in Oakland. Again, that all is basically going to be going up against Dylan Cease because Dylan Cease is going to end up in most of my lineups. So we're basically having the same conversation we had about the Giants earlier today, where we were going to get to the Giants, but not as Giant stacks.
Right.
What about the White Sox here? The number 1 stack in our top stack tool, number 1 in ownership. I just didn't get there with this sort of volume. Clearly a team that you still play. Clearly a team that looks good. Yasmani Grandal, Elvis Andrus, Andrew Vaughn, Jose Abreu, all popping quite a bit for me in my cash crunch. All 4 of those guys, in fact, in my highest projected lineup. But I think it's too much ownership for this park for the matchup against Sears. I don't see it.
Yeah, same here. And especially because I like the popular pitching. I really like Cease. I agree that Gibson's way underpriced. And then I don't have any issues with Cortez or Alcantara either. I think it's more likely that I end up getting away from the White Sox, going to some of the low-owned offenses so that I can play the pitchers that I like.
Now, from a cash perspective, I assume we're on the same page. You're getting to the White Sox.
Yeah. Grandal, 98%. Andrus, 90%. Abreu, 83%. Pollock and Vaughn around 30. Robert, 25. Sheets and Jimenez at 20. Harrison, Moncada, 5 to 10.
Yeah, like when I look at my differences in ownership between what I have and what the public has, 20% under on the White Sox, which allows me to basically be, for all intents and purposes, 10% over on the Marlins, the Yankees, and the Twins. I'll take that trade-off of doubling up those 3 teams to cut the White Sox on a slate like today all day. Like that's exactly what I'm looking for when I'm trying to build my lineups.
Yep.
Is that real that baseball put in a pitch clock and eliminated the shift? Is that like an actual statement?
I thought they were already doing that.
I have no idea. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff because I don't ever watch baseball games.
Yeah, I don't pay
what they do.
Attention because obviously they're just going to do what they're going to do. But I thought they were starting with eliminating the shift next year anyway. Like I thought that was part of the CBA.
Since we have a couple seconds, thoughts on eliminating the shift?
I've come around on it.
Interesting.
On eliminating it. I used to be very against it because I like the idea of using analytics to increase your chances of winning. But I think the argument that kind of got me to change my opinion was that, like, in basketball, you have illegal defense. In football, you have illegal formation. Like, it's not unusual for a sport to say, like, no, you can't line up this way because it gives you too much of an advantage.
It's not even that. It's a poor entertainment product then.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what they need to be.
Right. And even as someone that, just grew up playing and watching and really enjoying baseball. I don't mind I don't mind the strikeout thing at all. Like I have no issue that baseball has become home runs and strikeouts. Like I enjoy strikeouts, I enjoy home runs. I don't see a strikeout as inferior to a weak ground ball to second base. Like I don't care. But what does actually really annoy me is when you get like a line drive up the middle and it's not a hit.
Yeah.
Like that is a hit. That's where you ideally want to hit the ball. Like it's a good swing. I think Freddie Freeman made basically the same point. He was like, when I hit into the shift and the second baseman is, in right field and field's a ground ball, like I don't care because I rolled over and it was a poor swing anyway. He's like, if I hit it up the middle, I did exactly what I was supposed to do. And there's just some guy standing there now. Like you'd have to just completely change the way that you hit. For that, you'd have to completely change your swing like on the fly for that to not be like a productive at bat. So that's the one that really does bother me. But so I've come around on I'm fine with getting rid of that.
This is a game that was created in the 1800s. To think that we eventually got enough technology to master it is great, but we shouldn't do that to the detriment of the product on the field. Sure. So I have no problem with them getting rid of it. Like it's going to make it a better visual product, and that's just going to be what you got to do. You got to do that in most sports.
Right.
There's a reason football's not 3 yards in a cloud of dust any longer.
Yeah. I have a much bigger issue with things that are done to try and get rid of strikeouts.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's just players playing at a really high level. Because I don't view that as hitters like being worse. They're obviously not. I view it as pitchers getting a hell of a lot better.
Do you have any issue, or would you have any thoughts at this point to moving the mound back a foot, raising or lowering the mound?
I don't like it, just because I don't.
See, I think it should be there's probably a slight increase to distance now because we are not the same people that we were when old Haas Rasburn was on the hill.
Once every single pitcher throws 100 miles an hour, you move it back so they're back throwing 94.
Right, it's. Everybody's bigger, stronger, and faster now. There's a case to be made that instead of 60 feet 6 inches, it should be 61.6 or something, where you're never going to notice it. You'd watch the game the exact same way, but it's just that marginal change that would be different. Now,
I think
the reason shit like that is never going to happen is because then you have to change the field in every baseball stadium across the entire United States. It's a lot easier to raise and lower the mound than it is to move the distance.
Yeah. Plus, I could see an argument too. Like, pro athletes are so ingrained with muscle memory and everything. Like, I could see a possible injury argument, as dumb as it sounds, if suddenly you're just pitching from an extra foot away and it's just different.
What about the pitch clock? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. My big concern on it is I don't want it to turn into a game where runners on first base can get a good jump because the clock's about to go off.
That's fair.
To steal second. I don't want it to impact the game in that way. If they want to use it to speed the game up, that's fine. My biggest issue with the idea of it is there's so much shit they could do to speed the game up that they don't. For one, with replays, the fact that you get 30 seconds, you can pause the game, go watch the replay, and then decide if you want to challenge. The coaching staff should be doing the same thing the umpire did. If you think he was safe and the umpire called him out, just challenge it. You don't get to say, wait a minute, and go watch it. It should be like the NFL. So that, doing that, there's so many things they can do where you can speed the game up without actually changing the game, but they don't.
It's all very interesting. I rarely mind the changes. And obviously I want robot umps for balls and strikes clear across the board. It's preposterous that we ever let a human being do it at this point. That I'm all for. I don't know. I'd like to see what baseball's got going on. It is the sport that takes change the worst.
Yeah, for sure. I thought I was gonna hate. I thought I was gonna hate the not having to throw the pitches on the intentional walk anymore, but just don't care.
That is a weird one in that I really do think you should have to throw them.
Well, yeah, because even though it doesn't happen often, occasionally they do. Airmail it to the backstop or. Miguel Cabrera reaches out and just lines it in the center field. Enough stuff it does happen that even though it's basically a formality, it's not.
Yeah, you want to save 2 minutes, that's whatever. But
right, and that was the thing too. it was like it's more theater than anything. Like
Yeah.
nothing. That's not you're not getting a person saying like, man, I used to hate going to baseball games because they were so long, but now they don't do intentional walks anymore, so let's go.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter.
No, it's completely meaningless. Yeah, that one was one where I was just like, okay, we're overthinking it. Like, who brought that to the table as a compromise?
Right.
All right, let's sum it up here. We've hit basically everything that we possibly hit in this game or in this slate. So let's sum up pitching. And I know normally it's just like I ask you your favorite pitchers. It's really easy for you to just say like Sandy Alcantara, Dylan Cease, and Nestor Cortez are the best pitchers. But like from an ownership perspective as well, like what makes the most sense to you on paper?
Cease. I think I end up getting to a lot of Gibson, even though I don't love that idea.
Okay.
From an ownership standpoint, I do like Sonny Gray. He doesn't project as well as the other guys, but he's also getting less ownership.
I certainly love Cease. I think that it's kind of easy to pay up to Alcantara. As for me, at least, I have him projected so much ahead of Gray, Gibson, Sears that I don't know if I need that salary. But it is very clear that Kyle Gibson at 5,700 is not the correct price tag, and that's the reason he's the second most owned pitcher on today's slate.
Right.
What about hitting today? How do you see it breaking down? What's your expectation of what you would want to be doing?
I think it's likely that I get away from the White Sox because I do think that I get a lot of Gibson and a lot of Cease. So it's unlikely that I'm playing White Sox stacks with those guys. So I think that where I don't have Gibson, I probably get to Miami. They're going a little bit under owned. I think I get to the Twins. They have, some cheap bats with power at the top.
All righty. One last thing from me before Adam and I get out of here. Like I said, football kicking off tonight. We've got 2 straight hours of NFL shows going from 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock. What I want you guys to do is go sign up using the promo code SCRAMBLE. If you're more of an NFL person, if this has just been what you've been waiting for, SCRAMBLE when you sign up for a Stokastic NFL Plus package. $7 for 7 days. That's 70% off. And it gives you literally everything that we have for football. It's not just for Showdown. It's going to be every single thing on the NFL side. So the new lineup generator, player projections, ownership projections, the top stacks, the boom bust, all those sorts of advanced metrics that we have, all of that is included. Only thing that's not included is Fantasy Cruncher. That is a paid add-on. You can add that at checkout. This deal's going to go away on Tuesday, but feels to me that today is the best day that you could possibly get into it if you were looking to play the Showdown slate. So if you're new to Stokastic, use that promo code SCRAMBLE. All right, Adam, you got 2 hours and however many minutes until the game kicks off to build your stuff for the NFL. Are you excited?
Yeah, for some reason I registered baseball too.
Sleepy Joe says he likes the Savannah Bananas. Adam, are you familiar with the Savannah Bananas?
I am. They are entertaining.
They are entertaining. I like what they're doing there.
Yeah.
But when I was down in Savannah earlier this year, they had just started like a tour. So they weren't in Savannah. Yeah. So it was kind of a bummer. Good entertainment. Smart guy. I watched the like ESPN 8-minute video like explaining who that dude was that like took it over. And
I don't even know anything about it.
It was a guy that was like working in the minor league systems for a bit and just got really good at that. And he wanted to get his own team because he was at some other team. Eventually the Savannah team came up and like he was really obsessed with like Barnum and Bailey and like circuses and like just bringing people in for a big event and whatever they could do, they would do. And he ended up meeting this girl that had like the same zest for it that he did. It's now his wife. And now they just like cornered it. I'm just anxious to see like how far it'll climb. Like it can't ever get to like real baseball.
Right.
Because you can't kind of have somebody come out here throwing the first pitch on stilts while the hitter has a flaming bat. But like I'm in for that shit for entertainment. I just don't know how you monetize that in a large scale.
Yeah.
Either way.
It's definitely, I mean, it's a cool gimmick at the very least.
Go bananas, everybody. Thank you for being here. Hit the like button. Make sure you're back in 15 minutes for NFL Deeper Dive. You're getting the first hour with the boss man, Alex Baker. So enjoy it. We're out of here. Peace.